I've got music, but y'all don't. What a shame. My music is good, but I fucking can't play it because, like, then they'll copy strike me. God damn it. Let's see. Let's pull the chat up. Yes, my IRC box. I can move over here and not really lose anything. I've been finagling with my setup for a long time. So, trying to get something where I can fucking just be comfortable and not like stress about some aspect, because realistically the stream's not about the music that I'm streaming while I'm vibing and shit, right? But like, it helps me think, it helps me kind of get in the zone. So I got one of my favorite albums on right now, so I can jam out while I get started here. It's KMFDM, of course. But guess which album? Hello, one viewer. Can you guess which album I'm listening to? And which song it's currently on? I'm willing to bet that you'd be able to name 3 albums that are pretty close to what I'm listening to. Because generally speaking, I could go on at length about that band. The albums that I've consumed, every song on them, just about. And presenting a stream in that fashion, I might be able to do like while coding. But I won't be able to do it if I'm like streaming the music itself, if that makes sense, because like I can multitask. Oh, wait, huh? Oh, the fucking order. Whoops. Uh, Try to get rid of that warning. What's the order that we need to do this in? Average FPS. Maybe I can get away with just like... Oh, frame count would go before it. There you go. Okay. What's happening, cheese? Can you guess which KMFDM album I'm listening to right now? Frozen pizza, nice. What brand? Oh man, good guess. It's I almost started listening to Angst first. I believe Drug Against War is on Angst. I'm gonna kill myself if I'm wrong. Yeah, Drug Against War is a single, but actually I think that might even be the name of the album. Um, I gotta look it up. I could swear that was on Angst though. Yeah, it's on Angst. You were really close. Uh, I started listening to Angst first because Angst is honestly in my top three, probably top five, top three, top five. Angst is a really fucking good album. And I didn't even come into Angst until I had already gone through like many KMFDM albums that came after it. Like being a fan of it for years and then going back to Angst and like actually going through the whole album. Oh man. You were really close. Good job. Solid guess. Um it's actually so a little history about how I got into it and its relationship to my programming journey. Since I came out of back surgery at age 11, just after the Mortal Kombat like original movie came out, which had a phenomenal soundtrack, which included KMFDM's Juke Joint Jezebels. And that was off the album Nihil, which also had as its lead track um, Ultra, which was featured in a music video promotion by the anime company Manga Entertainment, which included in the promo Ghost in the fucking Shell. And I just want to show you how real I keep this. There it is. See, I started studying Japanese again after 88 days in Russian. Because Japanese is honestly where my passion is at. And if I'm going to get back to like my peak programmer ability, that comes with it the same peak skill in Japanese that I had in college. Because one day I really hope to be able to read this in its entirety. There we go. Let's flip that shit around. This is a full Japanese language copy of the original Ghost in the Shell manga. I've been hauling this motherfucker around for almost 20 years. And I still can't read it because the level of Japanese required to understand the native Ghost in the Shell is honestly pretty goddamn close to college level. They don't even include fucking furigana for the kanji. That's how good you have to be. Like, with all of the legal talk, with all of the police discussion, with all of the intricacies of the plot, it makes sense that you have to be a rather smart person to kind of appreciate it. But, of course, if you're younger and you don't understand all of that stuff, I think that's where a lot of the flashy visuals come into play, right? Ah, another one of my favorites. Absolute favorite animes. I'm glad that we're transitioning from KMFDM into anime discussion. Because honestly, there's a lot of fucking shit out there. But god damn it. If there is an anime that I could put every person on Earth at gunpoint and said, you're either watching this or you're going to die. And you're going to die anyway, so you have to watch this before you die. It would be Lane. Why? In I mean, this isn't the whole reason why, right? But like, this is a big reason. One reason that I didn't really catch as a kid, but I caught it upon a rewatch as an adult. As I first watched it, just for reference, I was like, I don't know what you mean. It seems like you've joined the channel. I might be forgiving of your sins and any sort of bans I can wipe. But anyway, let me finish my rant. Uh, let's see. Y Lane. There's a brief mention of a book, Programming and Metaprogramming in the Human Biocomputer by Dr. John C. Lilly. Right? What did this dude do that was so important? Gundam Wing's a fucking good one, too. Nice, Cheese. Yeah, I know. I just fucking grabbed a copy off Amazon just so I could actually read it. Um, what a fucking phenomenal book. What amazing, interesting research. I do need to go through the Pragmatic Programmer. One that you would be interested in, Octo, if you can hear me, is I'm pretty sure it's called Coding Horror. Let me bust out the Kindle because I have a copy of this book, if that's the title, on my fucking Amazon account. Yeah, Atwood. He published most of the contents, and I'm sure there's material that's not in the blog. Let's see. All. Yes. It's actually, here we go. It's actually called Effective Programming. More than writing code. Yes. I'm trying to get the fucking title page so I can show you. I've got bookmarks. There we go. It's really good. I haven't even finished it, but thank you for reminding me that I had it to begin with. Jeez. That's fucking funny. Oh no! Oh no! That's fucking awful, my god. Jesus. Holy shit. Oh wow, this has become the best stream I've ever done immediately. Thank you, Cheese. This discussion has been highly educational. And I'm glad that y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about, because it's hard to find people in my immediate IRL who can appreciate this kind of material. Y'all have still not figured out which album I'm listening to. Now we got two of you motherfuckers on stream. Cheese made a strong, very strong first guess. I actually put on Angst and then decided against it. And then just as Octo showed up, I was talking about the order of KMFDM albums that I've listened to give you a reference of like which one I'm listening to and why they end up being my favorites. No, but Naive is really good. And like as an adult, I really like Naive. Naive is fucking awesome. God damn, what's some fucking bangers on that one. You know what? Johnny Demonic, man, I got on that shit, but like it was just before, I guess, like it was like one generation before me. Like I remember them like doing advertisements for it on TV, but I didn't really latch on to, you know, like Keanu's sci-fi work until The Matrix. But that is a good fucking movie. I also didn't realize Virus was on the soundtrack. Thank you. And I didn't know there was a dolphin in that movie. Fuck. Oh my god. Oh, that's crazy. um. Okay, so I'll just give it away. I'm listening to Symbols. The track I am currently on is Torture. Big Shock. How is that a how is that a big shock? Or are you just being sarcastic? Do it. I did all that stuff already. I want to show off some stuff that I've implemented in Skull, um, and actually implement some new features tonight. It's already midnight 20. I've bought myself some time to actually get some shit done. Oh, sick, Octo. That sounds fun. That's funny too because I also saw KMFDM with someone from IRC, um, a chatter named Moloko. I also went with my best friend, um, who I refer to online as Dosa. Yeah, I first saw them in October of 2013, just before I had to bounce on an apartment that I was crashing at. Um, Man, that was a fucking tough time. Well, it was 11 years ago at this point, but the guy I was staying with was letting me crash because I had a fight with my previous apartment mates over dishes. I ended up crashing with him for a few months and I learned how to rap and I learned how to make music because he wanted to become a rapper too. And that dude has cerebral palsy. And he like stopped paying rent and then he bounced on the crib without telling me. And then one day, like the fucking apartment managers came and they started banging on the door, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" And this was also at the same time I was also first interviewing with Google. So it's always like when I'm under like super big stress that like opportunities just kind of present themselves. But I said to myself that there's no way in God's green earth that I'm going to die without seeing KMFDM. And I've managed to see him twice now. So, childhood dream fulfilled at least a couple times. That's one of many. So, I can't say that I haven't been successful. But it's also amazing that they're still making music this long in. How many bands can actually say that? Yeah, no, the job situation and the job market I understand is not really all that hot right now in terms of I don't know. You're gonna get mixed reactions and mixed perceptions as far as how should I say. Some companies are gonna be like, "Come back to the office, bitch." Other people are gonna be like, Sure, you can work remote. Fuck it. And I think that's going to be variable depending upon your performance and all that kind of stuff. And the problem with my skill set is that a lot of what I have the most experience doing doesn't directly translate into a traditional software engineering role. I literally have more experience tutoring and lecturing and presenting materials and kind of bringing people up from the ground up than anything else. I've literally helped hundreds of people. And I guess the nice thing about that is that it's something that I can easily just start doing again. Um, there's part of me that does want to get my doctorate one day. And I always thought to myself, oh, this would be a good excuse to like do a thesis involving video games. Kind of Tom Seven style. Kind of like fucking that motherfucker who did the parallel worlds or the parallel universes in Super Mario 64. There's a lot of good excuses to kind of just fuck around and do shit that really doesn't matter, and get paid for it. I think it's really more about passion, direction, and energy than anything. Because research that looks useless on the face of it may eventually be led to, something actually useful in the future. A lot of people didn't take quantum seriously. Now we're working with fucking post quantum, like, resistant, cryptography and shit. God damn. I want to show y'all what I did. Here's what I did. I'm fucking around with implementing a pseudo entity component system, right? TLDR, line 76, 77. Actually, no, sorry. It's actually in scene. I know it's going to drive Octo nuts that I have the habit of exiting. But there's going to be certain instances where, I'm going to have to rework my workflow in order to make it so that I don't exit them as often as I do. And there's reasons that I do exit, and I can explain all of those, but, just be aware that this is a physical transition. Ooh, transition. Not that kind of transition. I'm talking about a transmission in your car. No, yeah, no, dude. Like, I actually measured the startup time for NVIM, and it's like the philosophy of NVIM and all of these nerds who are doing crazy JavaScript stuff and Node stuff and all of this and that and all, whatever. Like, the whole philosophy is like so antithetical to like the people who kind of raised me in the coding game. And I find myself like it's like being a salmon thrown down river and trying to swim back upstream. It's like my native intuition is to go against the current. If everyone's choosing these technologies, and I'm going to heavily question them for years before I ever sit down and even put my hands on them. And I think I've been right to do that because blindly learning things is a very good way to pigeonhole yourself. And I've done this in the past, but it's definitely led to me surviving. And sometimes you have to do what you have to do to survive. But also at a certain point, I think in life, it's important to realize when just like in a Dragon Ball Z fight, you're being hit with that massive blast, and it's pushing you back, and it's pushing you back, and it's gonna fucking destroy you if you don't dig your fucking heels in. I think that's an important attitude to take because you have to define for yourself what is the right way of doing something for you. And there might be an accepted engineering practice for a lot of different things. There's a lot of different ways to do things. I mean, it's like, why choose Unity over Godot, over Unreal Engine, over insert engine here? Why am I doing it in C++? Why am I doing it in libstl? Why not stick with the plan to do everything in Rust? Because Rust started making me really fucking sick after a while. And I just want to get shit done. I want to be able to fuck around in a language that I already kind of fundamentally understand. And I know the syntax for. And I know how to handle situations. And I know how to track things down. And I know how to use the existing debugging tools. And I don't have to learn all of this extra shit just to be able to do. It's like, that was the whole reason I avoid IDEs in the first place. That's the whole reason I avoid picking up all these big-ass frameworks. So from that perspective, Rust becomes like just, and Bevy are just another thing I have to learn. And I already know enough. The time for learning, I can set that aside. It's an important exercise. Sorry, my energy is matching the music. The music is Split Sperm, which just ended. And we're moving on to Anarchy, which I learned is in, I believe, the Need for Speed Underground soundtrack. And I always find it interesting when I read comments on KMFDM tracks and albums about like where other fans are coming from and where they first get exposed to it. And it's just fucking amazing. Like, I've honestly looked at them like fucking my generation's, and I say my generation not in terms of year, but generation in terms of what's the word I'm looking for? I guess archetype. I was that guy in high school who wore the trench coat. I'm a tiny man, and I need to look edgy in order to have some sort of defensive posturing. Can I not be self-aware, please? I'm trying to get shit done. Fuck Anarchy is a good song. Alright, take a look at Scene, right? I did two things that are interesting. We have the beginnings of a entity component system. Actually, right here. So we have let me drop the text. There you go. It's very straightforward. We have a vector of integer IDs that represent entities. The entities may or may not have a sprite. And a sprite may or may not have an input map. And they may or may not have a transform map. Generally speaking, though, if there's a sprite on the screen, it has a transform map. But I've essentially separated out the positioning of the sprite from the sprite itself. Over in scene.cpp, let's take the update function. For key value and input map, the key is the ID. We check to see if it's in the transform map, and if it is, then we're currently going to map everything. And generally speaking, there's no real plan to have more than one entity on the screen that we're going to be able to move around, but it's an option. Like, we can actually make a game that does that if we wanted to. It'd be kind of weird, but that part's kind of cool, right? Like, I figured out how to kind of get entity component system started. The part that's really cool, though, it's right here. So let's go back to the .h, and let's take a look at this. This is an attempt at functional programming that actually works. So up at the top, we have a type def for a new thing called sprite pair. Sprite pair is a pair of an integer and a shared pointer to a sprite. Straightforward, right? So now we have a function object that returns a void and it accepts a sprite pair called drawSprite. As you can see, it takes a sprite pair p right here, and we have a little function in here that just calls an if statement. We check to see if our ID is in the transform map, and if it is, we call its draw function for the ID and the sprite map. The idea is that, if you're passing in something from the sprite map, then it already exists, right? So we don't have to check to see if it exists. But just so that shit works and we don't fucking crash shit, we're going to check to see if it's in the transform map. And if it is, then we can draw it at the position in the location returned by transform map. And eventually we'll get rotation and shit, like, thrown up in there. But what this allows us to do, though, over in the .cpp now, in the draw function, instead of having a for loop iterate over each element in the sprite map, we can actually use a call to the for each functional programming method available in the standard C++ library under include algorithm, which accepts a function object. So if you're familiar with like lambda calculus, this is like a lambda function, right? So what this will do is apply drawSprite to every element in our sprite map. In other words, draw sprites. This is just kind of a clever, I feel like, optimization. I haven't actually done performance testing to confirm that, but I think that was pretty cool. So we want to start spawning some eyeballs, and perhaps even implement an entity that allows us to spawn new eyeballs in a loop. So normally for testing, I'll press a button to like spawn an eyeball, and then eventually after that I'm probably not going to get it done tonight, but I'm going to implement collision detection and all of that good stuff. All right, so we're coming up towards the end of the album. We're currently on Down and Out. Unfit and Waste are okay tracks. Not every track hits, but some are fucking bang bang dangers. Growing up especially, I was really committed to listening to like the whole album from start to finish because I always felt like the presentation and the order, someone decides that. That's not necessarily a random thing all the time. There is a story to be told. Oh, word. Welcome back, Octo. I've snoozed ads for as long as I can. I don't know if you caught the very end of that, but long story short, I'm implementing Lambda functions in order to render the sprites. We're actually making a call to for each. Yeah, you missed the bit about the functional implementation, so check this out real quick. So this is a Lambda function that takes a sprite pair, which I've defined up here. Sprite pair is a pair to an int and a shared pointer to a sprite. The function that we have defined here is a Lambda function that returns void and accepts a sprite pair. I've always liked Lambda functions being able to be interwoven into various programming languages. I was pretty hyped when they first added it into C++, and I began trying to fuck around with it back in like 2014. And it was kind of a regular part of Objective-C during my time as an iOS developer. Because if you're doing shit right, then you're making pretty good use of libdispatch, which in many cases you would spawn like a new thread that accepts a function block. Block syntax is very fun. Do I have links to? Is it what the fuck? Block syntax? Oh no, it's fucking block syntax. I spelled it. I spelled that wrong, didn't I? There we go. Yes. There we go. Okay. Sweet. And it renders pretty good in links as well. Um, so in Objective C, it's pretty much C with like different function headers and different method calls. Like you can actually kind of interweave C, C++, and Objective C all together. It's kind of interesting. But all of the major iOS functionality was, of course, declarative and Objective C syntax, which made heavy use of brackets, which felt weird at first, but given my typing situation, I can comfortably hit those two keys with my right hand pretty easily. So it ends up being kind of a natural fit. And I'm always a fan of anything that allows me to hit one less character. So this is similar to what I'm doing in C++. So we have a lambda function down here, which is very similar to a block in Objective-C. The contents of this block are very small, but that's the point, because you're essentially compiling this down to an object, and then being able to throw this into this other thing. And so we should get some really strong, like, compile time and runtime benefits. That was the motivation. It just kind of came to me last night, and I was like, at 2 in the morning, fuck it. I'm going to write this and see if I can get it working. And I did, so I'm like, okay, this was not hard. And I can kind of talk about it a little bit. Let me get back to the chat window. I'm pretty good with multi-threading. I've written some pretty good scrapers recently. I'm able to do the same shit in Python, C++, and now Go, as far as my scraping stuff goes. I've written the same program in all 3 fucking languages. There's benefits and, like, cons. Yeah, dude, honestly, Go routines are fucking nice. Goddamn. You still have to do some weight guard shit. You still have to use a mutex sometimes, but it does make things a little bit easier. And I don't know about these fucking kids launching 50 Go routines all at once. I'm not sure that's the way. Who decided that we needed to default programs to run fucking 50 goddamn Go routines? Project Discovery! But I started playing around with it. I want to do it in C++. That would be something that I could try to make a thing on over time. I would probably write like a small program to generate my own data set first, and like create a small thing, and then dedicate some time on one of my other machines to actually compute it, because I don't know if you saw, but I'm actually at the moment using one of my machines to transcode fucking old episodes of One Piece from X264 into X265, so I can save myself some space, because I'm running out of space on my 3 terabyte goddamn hard drive. And to be fair, about a third of that is occupied by One Piece. Yeah, I think you're maybe the second or third person to talk about NASs during my tech journeys. The other guy was a coworker during my time with Kratos Secure Info. Really fun dude. I miss hanging out with that guy. I learned a lot. Um, but yeah, I never had any bad vibes towards that dude. And he was talking about his home NAS, and I had never heard of it at the time. So I was like, "What's a NAS?" He said, "Dude, you don't know what a NAS is?" I'm like, "No." He said, well, "NAS is a network attached storage," and I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, it's like a computer that's headless, and you can plug in external storage to it and serve up all your media content to the rest of your house." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." So kind of like, your own home at home, like, media setup. Because years prior to that, I lived with some people who were the ones who got me into Gentoo. They ran a beautiful Linux-only household. Windows was not allowed on the network. And we had a home media entertainment setup. And when I got there, I brought my media collection with me. They had their media collection, and we could join the two together over NFS. And we had speakers in every room in the house. And we could tell which speaker to start playing on from our individual laptops and desktops. I know that's not an NAS, but that's my previous experience, with home media setups, and I've always wanted to do that kind of thing, for my own family, but man, they do not give a shit. I'd much rather continue paying $50+ a month for every single one of their streaming services, and they're like, instead of having to pay all this money to, like, build a computer for every TV that we have. But at a certain point, you get cost savings. At a certain point, you actually, start to save money again. I mean, shit. They're always coming to me whenever there's, like, new movies that drop and they're, like, not out on fucking streaming yet. And they're like, "Hey, can you get this for me?" And it's just, I've always been that guy in the family. Whenever they need some shit like that, it's like, oh, fuck it, if this guy's got, fucking, you know, Jesus Christ, in 2 years I've been programming for 30 years. Um, I mean, in my case, I've just always had access to content, and I've never been without. Like, I've always set it up so that, like, in the absolute worst case, let's say I lose internet, right? But I still have power. Um, I can still enjoy life quite comfortably without the internet. because I have enough media and I have enough shit to do on my own machine um, to be quite self entertained for a very long time. Um, so Symbol's just finished, and I'm thinking, what's the next album I should listen to? Because the next step in this whole process, since it's about coming up on 1 a.m., is drink some milk, eat an apple fritter, and start plugging in some eyeballs so we can get some literal eyeballs on this game. Pun intended, unintended, every meaning superpositioned on top of each other in a quantum uniform state of eyeballs. Literal and metaphoric eyeballs on my game. Um, but fuck, first I have to figure out which album I'm listening to and kind of get my head right. Um, these are good chats, and I'm getting shit off my chest, but at the same time, yeah, I need to act like I'm actually working. If I were running my own company, I should come into myself and say, "Hey, you're slacking off again. You got shit to do. We ain't paying you to fucking whip your dick out." Uh, or are you? Okay. Symbols is a great album. Angst would be one that I want to listen to, but I listen to it a lot. It's a great album, and I can always go back to it and never find myself without it. But I want to get groovy. I may have played with Toggle at some point, and I might have. I remember dabbling around with productivity tools like that back in the beginning of my iOS journey, and finding that I just prefer doing a lot of stuff using a note, just fucking Sublime Text. Let's see, dude. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of notes I can't show on screen, but as you can see, I'm like 3,000 lines into. Oh yeah, I'm sure they give you graphs and stuff, and yeah, I've been interested in that kind of stuff on a certain. Um, but at the same time, I think that time will come for me. More often than not, the only thing I really need to measure nowadays is how much time I'm actually at my machine and able to concentrate my focus without being distracted. That's why it's important for me to get a lot of my shit off my chest so I can actually whittle down my consciousness to a fine point. Most of the time I'm like, I mean, my whole note taking process or, thought collecting, I like to perform what I call a mind dump on physical paper with a pen using, like standard stock printer paper, um, hand write shit out. Sometimes in English, sometimes in Japanese, sometimes in whatever language I happen to be learning at the moment. Because oftentimes I'm taking notes on things outside of computers too. Because the computer portion of that mind map is only but a small chunk of my day to day life, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective. Um, I've always wanted to try the iPencil or the Apple Pen or whatever. Um, if anyone's got a lock on the the tablet handwriting market, it's probably them. I hate to say it, as much as I abhor Apple's dominance. I remember back in college, like 2006, one of my professors using a tablet back then to actually like do stuff, handwriting notes on it. Um, so it's not exactly new technology necessarily, but like they've improved it over time. I'm sure. Uh, it's really hard to beat the feel of a pen though, dragging against physical paper. One thing I do like for tablets though in this regard is like I'd much rather do sprite work. Like if I had like something like a sprite on a tablet, is what I'll probably end up having to do for this is see if there's some sort of light pen I can get for Linux that will allow me to just drop things like that because um, yeah, I find the phone. I mean, for certain instances, the phone or touchscreen actually ends up being better for certain tasks, like certain graphics work. I like pixel art. Like it's like let's throw away all the programming discussion for a moment, and it's like okay, let's say person A has all of the skill necessary to actually build out a full game, start to finish. Um, that's not the problem anymore. The problem then becomes actually making all of these graphics. Um, and, like hell am I going to actually click that many pixels to generate the graphics? God damn. So one of the goals that, like, when I was like first doing game dev in like 2013 on Project A was so I was doing stuff in Cocos 2D, Objective C again, iOS. Uh, the game built and ran on the iPad and the iPhone, and the experience on the iPad was the best. But I didn't have any physical art assets. Everything that was drawn in the game was drawn using a hack that I had made of something called CC mutable texture, which by default the Cocos 2D library at the time did not offer a mutable version of its CC texture object. And what I ended up needing to do, so I dug around and I found someone who wrote like a game where I guess it was like the whole point was like you can click and drag your finger to like destroy parts of the earth and stuff like that. And not parts of the earth, but like he had like a bunch of dirt, and clicking and dragging would like destroy the dirt, destroy the earth. Jesus Christ, I am in a bad mood. Oh man. Um, so CC mutable texture ended up being something that allowed me to like draw individual pixels on a texture and then render them, and so I could like make a small 16 by 16 little art asset in code. And I wrote like functions to generate these based off of like color palette choices. So like the input was like your color choice, and the output was like the sprite, but like rendered with different colors. Which there's probably like a more natural way to go about doing this. Like you can draw one sprite now and then just like do a color key. Just like load the sprite once, or like load the sprite with a different color key. Um, you still have to define the color key, but like there's got to be ways to automate the large scale generation of assets. Like, like I want to be able to make one sprite and then get like every color combination of that sprite back. Um, I think this is a worthwhile pursuit, not only for myself but for others, because it is a problem. I am just one man, and you can appreciate someone who takes time to actually handcraft out all of these, but I'm thinking on this sideways. Like, I got shit to do, and I can't be spending all my time dicking around with individual pixels, shit like that. Shit that like people in the past have straight up paid me money to like sit with them and then literally spend an hour or longer moving one sprite around on the screen to get it aligned in a way that was satisfactory for them. And when I later actually got a corporate job doing this, I found that it was like, oh, uh, we just use interface builder, um, which I fucking sucked at, and it was one of the things that held me back in that position. Is for all of my time in working in Cocos 2D and trying to get this person's product that they wanted built. Um, I never picked up interface builder because our application didn't use it. It didn't need it, and I'm not a designer. Like a lot of people in the iOS app development space are simultaneously both developers and designers who have to not only be good at Xcode but also be good at interface builder, um, which placing elements on a screen and like making them properly positioned for every device that's supported by the platform. Most of the time, what a company is going to do for their app is just not support every like for instance, let's take all the Apple devices. They're only going to support back to a certain generation. After a certain point, they're just going to be like, fuck you, update your shit. And it's like, okay. Um, well, even back then, I was thinking to myself, there's got to be a way to automate this. There's and what I found is if you adhere to certain design aspects, which if you're following the Apple like iOS human usability guidelines, which is a huge document um, that I've actually gone through a lot of. I can't say the whole thing, but like, yeah, you have to appreciate Apple's documentation for their platforms. It's very thorough. They paid someone to do all of that shit, and it shows. But at the same time, like, if you're adhering to all of those guidelines, there's no way to automate anything more complicated than a very simple app. And and especially not if you don't like significantly limit the subset of devices that you're actually supporting. It's an interesting space, and it's certainly highly paid. And I used to get approached with like lead UI jobs like all the time, and it's just like, oh no, 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 no. I don't want to get paid to do that. That's not what God put me on this earth to do. Like front end UI design has to be the same level of soul crushing that if you don't already, don't believe in God and have no soul and only live for money, then, accounting, right? Like finance, fintech, like stock trading, fucking Wall Street, front end UI development. That's kind of how I feel about it. It's like all in the same kind of category. I can't say that I'm like not good at it, but at the same time, it's like if I'm designing things the way that I want to design things, then I'm going to end up being really minimalist. Because honestly, my interest isn't necessarily in the design or the look of something, because I want that fixated and solved as a problem early on so I can focus on adding content to that design scheme. It's not about the design scheme, it's about what goes in the design scheme. Like once you have the feel for how you want something to look, meat and potatoes. Um, my ad is about to start. My apologies if y'all are not primed up. Get that ad blocker or just take a snooze. Maybe this would be a good time for me to turn something on and also get a snack down from my fridge. Yeah, it was kind of a running joke in corporate that like clients are just like, well, I don't want to shit on clients, but at the same time, it's like, uh, well, in corporate, I'll say in particular, because working one on one with clients has been phenomenal. Um, I've grown as a person by learning how to talk to people about computer science and fucking programming and shit to a wide variety of people from all sorts of different backgrounds. And it's kind of like, there's certain uniting factors amongst mankind. And I feel like some of them are music and programming. Um, Almost everyone, I should say. I think it's kind of a big thing. So, I don't know. I'm not going to get into religious discussion about whether or not music is haram, but uniting factors being that, I mean, plenty of people go their whole lives without learning how to code, right? But code runs the universe. So I think it's worth learning. Even if the most that you do is get to the point of compiling and running Hello World, at least you did that much. And that's more than most people will ever do. Let's see. Give me 1 second here. Okay. A few minutes. We're going to take a little pause. But you said naive earlier, and that sounds like a good choice right now. No, maybe not naive. Something close to naive. Um, okay, no, that's it. We're gonna do don't blow your top. Oh yeah, that's a good one. No Meat, No Man is a fun track. I turn on my red light. That way I'm appropriately sleepy at the end of the stream, so I can just nod off right away. I'm gonna add some eyeballs, right? Okay, so we've already loaded the uh, the path into the texture path keys, which is data structure that just makes it a little bit easier for us to load. So load sprites. Here we have some real rudimentary code. We're kind of only making one scene, and eventually we're gonna have to write scene management tools because we're gonna have complex scene changes and shit like that, right? So we add the sprite, we add the input, we add the transform. We get a entity ID back whenever we just call scene add entity. So scene added entity creates new entity ID, adds it to the entity list over in the scene, and then returns the ID to us so we can do something with it. Okay, so spawn eyeball. Let's do a split for y'all. Yeah, look at that. Um, I forget how to resize the split though. Oh, there we go. There we go. Alright, load sprite takes a key. In this case, it's eyeball. The name is eyeball. This is another problem. At the moment, I have to specify the height and width of one frame of the sprite. So actually, it makes sense for me to open up a sprite. So here's a sprite, right? So here's the eyeball sheet. So one of these is I think it's 16 by 16 actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. No, wait, that's 8 by. Wait, yeah. Wait, 16 by 16. Math. Okay. So that's 16. That's 16. And then the 2 here needs to actually be the number of frames in the animation, or the frame count. Okay, here we are. So here's the original eyeball file. So the nice thing about this is we can actually see all the different frames, and we can, pause and actually do animations and shit this way. It's a really good program. I want to do all of the art using it, if I can. But clicking is a problem. Damn, it is so time for a fucking apple fritter. Apple fritter time. And I am currently on killing in Don't Blow Your Top. It's a fucking amazing. So, frame count here is 18. 17? 18. It is animating, and it's not in debug. All right, one sec. Got the chat open. Where's the sub notification? Did it not throw up? Damn. I've got my alerts up. Um, Here, I'll replay it for you. It might have played with no audio. which is on purpose. I've definitely muted the notification, but I don't see an event from you. So I don't know, Octo. Where is it? Anyways, dude, give me a second. I'll be right back. We are doing important head maintenance activity. Unfortunately, our AC is on the fritz. It is a little bit warm. Oh shit! There we go. Hell yeah! Appreciate that. All right, let me grab an apple fritter. Okay. Discussed live. This is a banger. Okay. Y'all have seen this eyeball on screen a million times. Hey. One thing I really enjoy about the new setup here is that I've got both C-Lang D um, looking for shit, as well as C-Lang format automatically formatting my shit in a way that's relatively nice enough for me to stop thinking about that shit all the goddamn time. That's definitely been a thing that's held me back. Is my OCD with making really clean, nice looking code. There's a million different formatters out there too. So it's like, why is that even a thing? I've always looked at it as kind of an art. Non-constant expression. What does that mean? Non-constant expression. We can't just like shove a. Well, first of all, is a transform? Oh, those are floats. Can they be doubles? So, Octo, uh, I'm gonna attempt to try and stay inside of. See, I've already fucked up because I forgot how to navigate and resize my split. I was actually about to look in my nvim config. Uh, okay, so I undid those because those are kind of weird. Um, so here's my custom mappings, and if I press space left or space right, which for me is boom boom. Um, yeah, they say don't use arrow keys, but I'll make an exception here. A lot of shit stopped working correctly if I didn't use their fucking size 2 shift width, so I'm just living with it. It doesn't make me happy. I grew up with 4. Well, 3 or 4. I say grew up. So I technically took C++ in high school. But I had not yet grown up to discussions about tab space widths. These are important things to be aware of. But what I was getting at, Octo, let's check this. Oh, wait, we have a shadow declaration. Whoops. Hold on. Call this num frames. So let's try making from within Vim. That's what it looks like. But if there's any errors, if there's any sort of colored text, it doesn't render properly. It actually shows like the escape sequences themselves, which is really fucking annoying. It's like we're all this fancy magical fucking editor shit for all these colors that we got. You would think that it'd be able to convert the escape sequences into their colors that they represent. But for some reason, the context of the output coming from ZSH or Bash or whatever, getting piped into NVim causes it to lose any sort of cool stuff. So like, yeah, because this build is successful and there's no errors, we don't have any colored text to look at here. Actually, one thing we could do, we could add some colored text. Game built successfully. So we'll add a what's green? Oh. All right, so we should get some colored text at the end of our build process. LOL. We got some color text, but I don't need the dash E apparently. There is an auto build system. I forget what it's called. It's a program. What is it? Enter? Yeah, so like you can like list all the files in your current directory and then run enter, which listens for any changes to those files and then automatically runs any commands that you specify. So pretty sure if we did something like, oh yeah, don't you like that shit? Every time my terminal loads, I got this working again recently. You get a different Pokemon with a different quote from my quotes file. Here, let me there we go. There's no coming to consciousness without pain. Dratini. Yeah, so I'm doing T-Mux split, right? So let me ed back into that folder, and then from here we can do like enter uh I think you can do like ls star dot h. Well, first of all, unalias ls star dot h star dot cpp, pipe it into enter, and I think we could just do make. It starts off by building it once, right? Yeah, dude, have a good night. Um, I'm gonna finish my rant, get these eyeballs on screen, and go to bed myself. Appreciate you, man. Glad to see you chatting. I'll unban you from the dojo if there's a band mask on you still. Say hi to Jubird for me. Alright, so we got enter working, which I didn't even plan to do that shit. I think I just got hit with one of those giant flying mosquitoes. For some fucking reason, everything is bigger in Texas. Check it out. Let's do something stupid that breaks the program. Alright, so editor's yelling at me. It's like, no, don't do it. That's pretty nice. Now, what I was trying to show that's problematic is attempting to build within So the color rendering here, like, we don't even get that here anymore. Like, and I kind of want that colored text output. So I guess the enter solution is probably going to be the best one. Just, have kind of a split screen setup like this. But at the same time, I also don't have a problem manually building. But at the same time, it is less commands I have to type, but I don't always necessarily want to build every time I save, you know? All right, so we got 15 minutes until 2 a.m. I've been on for about 2 hours. We need to actually get something done here. Oops. Okay, so check this out. Okay, so we have a spawn eyeball now defined. What? Oh, is it duplicate? All right. We've got a game. Uh-oh. Something's happening. Now there's a problem there. Sprite's not displaying. Oh, we don't need to add an input, for one. Alright, so we can move around. But I don't see no eyeballs. The entity count is going up, though. So they're being registered by our data structures. So where are they? Is it eyeball? There's skull. Yes, eyeball. Yeah, because sprite we can actually just pass a string to that represents the path to the file on disk. And it's the same way that we're loading the skull. $14. Okay, so for one, they were the wrong size. All right, so this is actually 14. Let's fix that to start with. So we call add sprite, add transform. So wait, what does load sprite return? A shared pointer. Maybe I should turn is animating off for a moment. Where are they? Uh, uh. Oh, is it not finding them in there? This is kind of a good workflow, actually. Hmm. Well, it's not yelling at us about the sprite not having a map. Which is good, I suppose, but it doesn't solve my problem here. They wouldn't need an input, right? That's why I'm putting this here. Oh, wait, no, 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 I'm silly. That's why. No, we're not actually storing. Wait, no, 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 wait. Yeah, we are. We get the entity ID right here. So, what the heck? There they are. Oh, okay, they're just spawning so far off screen. That explains everything. Um, whoops. Um, rand mod that minus that. Damn, where the fuck? Well, I guess everything is 2x'd up, right? There we go. That's much better. Okay. Now they're all not animating, right? Because I turned that shit off for figuring this out. Now the the drawing code calls the draw function of each sprite, and the sprite itself handles the animation. In a perfect world, you can re-engineer any component system where you manage the animation separately. You know, there might be some weirdness that's worth exploring there. What I'm finding I'm doing here is kind of a hybrid entity component system slash object oriented. It's officially 2 a.m. And I've been live for 2 hours exactly. A little bit over. let's get these animations going. We are very close to being able to take a checkpoint and start. Yes! Look how smooth that looks. Oh my god. That looks amazing. And they're all rendering very fast. Very nice. Eyeballs. Animating eyeballs. I don't know why I'm so entertained by this. The track that's on right now is really good. Oh shit. That figures. Oh man, I gotta start this one over. Oh man, this one's good. Another pause for the cause. Maybe even another half a fritter. Then I gotta chug water to plow that shit down. If I had a bonus round, what would I do tonight immediately, programming wise, for the game after this point? That's a good question. Let's think about that. Collision detection. So this is going to come in many different forms, but there's two aspects I can think of immediately that might be doable tonight. The the skull currently is able to go off screen. We don't want that necessarily. I might want to force the player to be locked at the edge of the screen when they get back this far, right? Same thing up here at the top and at the bottom, and of course at the far right of the screen. Oh, there's several that we can't see. I guess it's actually going to be minus width times 4. So that's one aspect of the collision detection. The other aspect is being able to actually have the skull and an eyeball collide. Now, if I have a lot of eyeballs on screen, what this is ultimately going to mean is that there's going to be an if statement that checks to see if the bounding box of let's see, of Sprite Boy right here intersects with the bounding box of any one of these eyeballs that happen to be on the screen. So every frame of this program, this game, every frame every frame, we're going to have to check if this intersection occurs with every entity that has a tag on it. So we're going to have to add another component to check to see if it's collidable, and we should be able to take advantage of the functional programming aspects that I showed earlier in order to actually achieve this end. But first, this track is sick. God damn. A fucking amazing album. Alright, we're gonna pick one more. And then we gotta jam super hard. Alright, we're gonna do one for the current state of the world. This whole album is fucking amazing. World War III. The frame rate, considering I'm streaming right now, is also phenomenal. Alright, functional collision. Alright. Next, collision detection. Lightable a word? Yeah. There we go. Oh no. Okay. So here's the problem. What if we wanted to get into complex collision details? This is a very simple instance. And even in the simple instance, if we had like a lot of items, as you saw earlier, I had like 40 plus eyeballs on screen. Even if we stick to the simple case, let's say we had 40 eyeballs and they're all collidable. What, like, how significant of a slowdown are we going to experience for them to all bump into each other? I was attempting to do this in Rust, and it was really not frame rate efficient. Maybe we can have a different experience in C++. Oops. What you want to me? I'll give shit back today. Don't hear one word I say. Now, get out of my way. Black ball. They will never keep us down. The day of silence must be gripped. This whole fucking album is so goddamn hard. That you dismay. I am the slave. You not help. I am the corpse that you felt. You do what you want to me. I give shit back today. Don't give one word I say now. Get out of my way. You know what's retarded? Was that I was fucking hospitalized again. Like, not even 2 weeks ago. Not even 2 weeks ago, I was almost dead due to my own negligence, failing to care for my body by not eating properly or eating the right food at the right time. You can't force something down that's not meant for you. All right, so how do we handle collisions? Nothing's moving yet. This would require movement. Um, so now we're gonna have to update our add transform. And no biggie. Ooh, this song is. I know the lyrics. Homo sapiens, a dying species. Poor, sick, dumb, numb, needin' feces. Have beaten, sovereigns eaten, multiplying, lying, cheating, mean, unclean, call for the gun machine. Cannon fodder driven by fear. Last ass all mass victims of the puppeteer, human driftwood, lepers, pariah, suicide bombers for the new messiah. Everybody, do your part. Hope is life and fire to the heart. Rattle your chains. Never back down. Blow your brains. Stand your ground. Oops. Skill issue. I was jamming out too hard. Okay. So now we have separated out two parts of the update function. And now we can update input map, and we can also update transform map. But transform map for every key in the transform map. Really, yeah, this is correct. For every key in the transform map, if the ID is in the sprite map, so draw makes use of the transform map. So if very good. Actually, we don't even care about the sprite map for this function. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go word. Gotta be tired. You're getting off the end. Soil has been tread. Premonition television. Light of being fed. Money, power, cruelty. Blood is said in our streets. When? Well, does the sacrifice end? I know my singing was very shitty there. I cannot do Lucia justice. The lungs on that woman, man. Double standard idiots. Out to scout henchmen. This is catastrophic. Lead us not into temptation, but the damning words and glorified hatred. Eventual idiots. Into no things to our deaths. Fuck. We can't actually update the transform map this way. We need to do it by the sprite. Alright, so if it's in the transform map, then we can actually there we go. That's what we want. we do care about the sprite map, but only insofar as to actually getting the ID. Once we have the ID, we can get the transfer map and actually update it. Might have an opportunity to actually turn this into a functional thing. Maybe not tonight, as it's 2:30. But if we get the balls moving tonight, I'll count that as a win. Can we do that in like 5 minutes? Vaping like a motherfucker. Constantly commit, consume, creep onto your closing doom. Update transform map will get called, and at the moment there's no velocity set on anything. But if this works, I should be able to see some moving balls. All we have to do is attach a velocity to the eyeball now. Let's just make it move to the left. This might be kind of fast. Yes! Yes! Oh, sick. Okay. Let's play around. Well, we did it in under 5 minutes, like I was saying, so let's see what we can squeeze in. Now, what would be really cool how do you do like a fucking double random? Um, they talk about using something called a uniform random distribution. Oh, huh, just for testing. Maybe that's too small. There we go. Notice how we're not getting any positive or negative values, rather. Everything's moving to the right. Um, almost done here. Doesn't seem uniform to me. I don't see hardly anything moving to the left. Oh, we're not using it yet. All right, so There we go. How do we know if we hit the edge? Does the scene have information about the screen size? We should probably have that. Okay. Go away to the Alpity for the masses. Okay. or each moving item as its transfer map is updating. Then all right, for every sprite, that's pretty clean. Oops. Oh, we're missing a curly. And your cold lips blue. This is a good song to go out on. I think we're on the last track, which is Vengeance or Revenge. No, it's the second to last. Give me life anew. Oh. Oh. Yeah, that didn't. Raped by freedom while fate gave head on a screaming silence. You're moving caution, no regrets. Is my abortion this victim who lost his who? The range is a dish that's best served cold. And let your bloodlust flee, let your hate recede. I can take it all with one collect call. If late be forgiven. Arise with the living, never see, realize, re-arise, free the prize. Um, oh, wait. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Data casting. One of the earliest tricks that I ever learned. Hmm. Okay, so he spawned outside. Uh-oh. I would have expected it to bounce there too, though. Uh, let your bloodlust flee. Let your hate recede. I can make it all with and collect all. Alright, so it bounced off the left, but it's going off screen. Wait, did we never set the scale? That would explain everything. Yeah, we never did. Okay. Welcome back. Here we go again. A beautiful girl and some dirty old men. Before we continue with the task at hand, let's go ahead and introduce the band. From the land of volcanoes, the lovely Lucia. Her voice will fill you with wonder and fear. She moves like a banshee, and she moves like a cat. I could tell you much more, but just leave it at that. The Lord of Lord, the mighty swine, he loves Manchego and a bottle of wine. Also known as Raymond Watts, he screams out his lungs while his brain slowly rots. And only the great Steve White. His swirls are loose, but his shirts are tight. Challenged by few, rivaled by none. He's a low down, dirty ass son of a gun. The biscuits crux, solid rock against the flux. Ultra heavy beat deluxe. Came FDM forever sucks. Here's your voice from the underground. Oh, wait. We would need width information from the transform map in order for that to be 100% tight. But damn, if it's not fucking close. Oh, shit. It looks a little bit offset, but fuck it. This is a great starting point. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging with me. Me checking my code. All right. That's it. 3 hours. Thank you for participating, watching. There's a lot of material here that I'm going to have to dig through. We've made progress. I don't know what comes next. There's a lot to do. I'm going to have to digest this, though. You know where to find me. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and then down in this other side over here. Real ones know. Peace.